if that moral connectivity is not present. So when the action is repeated, the speed and the activity of the action of the car becomes monotonous or boring after some time, after 2 laps. Then what connects us to the story is this moral discussion. Every story has that. That's why I keep on saying the theme has to have its own relevance. The theme is what you pursue in your story, which we will come to that in the next segment, but we'll go to the next film. Yeah, please. Please.
So, what are the concept of black magic?
The concept of black magic, voodoo.
Is there any concept of black magic?
No.
Short film is connecting that with black magic.
The short film, yeah, it is, because it is about the world. See, we learn about the world of story. The world is an integral part of the story. The world of story is an integral part of the story. So the black magic is the context. But it is not the black magic that induces or affects us. It is about the man sacrificing from slavery for the benefit of the community. But black magic is the context. So we learn about context, we learn about the world of story, we learn about the world of characters. These are all things that we learn eventually. But here this movie is meant to connect with the theme. And who is the protagonist? We don't know the name of that protagonist, we know who the protagonist is. And we attach ourselves to that protagonist as he pierces himself for the sake of the community. Did I answer your question? Okay, fine. சென்டர்ல
அந்த பக்கம் போச்சுன்னா உங்களுக்கு ஃப்ரீக்வன்சி கிளாஷ் ஆகுது அங்கே.
ஓ ஓகே ஓகே
ரைட் ஸ்பீக்கரில் கிளாஷ் ஆகுது. ஸோ சென்டரில் பேசினா வரல.
ஓகே.
Идет к заключению одиночный. При обнаружении запрещенных предметов любой заключенный принесет ссылку наказание.
Russian language.
It's a East European. I think it is more of a
Слушай, What's that? Nothing. Stop. Why? Don't look at it. Why not? Because you might regret it. I feel like I'd take my chances. Fine. Go ahead. to say something. Would you believe me? Where are you going? There's no notice. Open the box. Come on, open the box. Someone bathroom. Idziecie zakończona.
Go to a slide. Now look at this film. This film is a fantasy, but even if it's a fantasy, we grab something out of that. We get something out of it. What do we get? Or what did you get? Pardon?
Raise your hand.
Yeah, please. What did you get watching this film? What is the takeaway? And what is the emotion that you could gather here? Or what was the emotion that you were traveling through as a predominant emotion? Yeah. Yeah. Mystery. Okay. But mystery is what can that emotion come under? Roughly I'm saying, be wrong or right, it's not matter. What comes to your mind you can tell. It's mystery, yes, or you are trying to, is it surprise that you are going through? Or some portion of surprise? Unbelievability? But still the world could convince you to a certain level, you know. Though it's a very strange world, the writer or the maker could convince you with that world. So that also is important when you deal with fantasy, but it also has some kind of a life connectivity. What is that life connectivity? We know that it is an impossible thing. We know that it's a fantasy. We have a disbelief as you go about this story. We don't believe it completely. But slowly you are immersed into this world. That's something about writing. So the context itself is very weird. It's about men being miniatures and captured in matchboxes. So, what is the takeaway of all these weird things, unbelievable things, and disbelief that you were going through, and certain surprises of the guy who is trying to run away from these prison walls or the roof? What did you get by watching this movie? You were clapping your hands in the end of the film. What did you clap it for? Anything? Please react.
Every person do same thing.
Yeah. Every person does the same thing.
Do not different thoughts.
Tamil பேசுங்க, please.
அவன் வேற எதையும் யோசிக்கல. அதே தான் யோசிக்கிறாங்க. முன்னாடி இது மாதிரி அது இருந்திருக்கலாம்.
அது அவனுக்கு தெரியல. பட் ஏன் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு 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 வழிக்கு போகணும்னு ஏன் அவன் டிசைட் பண்ற வித் ஆல் த ரிஸ்க்ஸ்?
அந்த பெர்சன்ல இருந்து
One guy was saying, telling him, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. It's not for you. But the more he says no, the guy wants to experience it and wants to come out of it or get freedom, or he's overt, he's exaggerating his own thoughts that he will, it is unbelievable for him. He wants to try it. So there is some theme that evolves out of it. Or if you bite more than what you can chew. We want to do things more than our ambitions are more. We want more of desires than we can accommodate, and that can put you to trouble sometimes. So they are incarcerated or they are prisoned inside a small environment in a very a world which is still unbelievable. This is how it works. So there is a vague understanding of certain life patterns here, that we, out of over ambitions, we do crazy things. This is what we do, and put ourselves in trouble. So these are the little things that though it is a vague short film, because it's a fantasy, there is a lot of disbelief around it, but still it carries some kind of a life in it. And we vaguely receive certain things. Hope you understood what I mean. Any other answers to this? Anybody wants to answer this?
You believe the harsh confinement of Russian Gulag, somewhere like west of Russia, the Russian puppet state, like Muslim states, and east of Ukraine, for me, it's like the little confined prison cells,
Yeah.
which is the matchbox.
Yeah.
Can describe the Cold War period of confinement.
Absolutely. It actually has certain relevance to the confined world, and the prison space itself is a confinement. That's why you call it a confinement. You know, the space is lesser, but beyond that, what is the moral condition? This is what we are discussing, you know. Every story has to have a moral connotation, a meaning out of it. And it's the meaning that draws us to it at this stage of your story making. Our whole idea is to connect to this statement, the moral statement, how every story will carry a moral statement. And once you are definite about your moral statement, your story will evolve. That actually is a point or a direction to which you can move from one point to the other. So my question and discussion here is not about the vagaries of that land or the context, but more than that, a universal audience, how can it be identified, you know?
It's actually like a phobia, phobia for the confined spaces. I mentioned that emotion, like confined phobia, and there was curiosity of the person, and as both sub-party curiosity.
Absolutely. At the same time, though we are not in that world or context, we can identify certain things here, that's it. We can resonate. So resonating will carry, that we'll discuss later over I think day 3 or 4 we'll discuss all that. But at the same time, more than the resonance part of it, focus on the moral statement and the emotional status. What emotion did you receive? There is a little bit of surprise here because it's a fantasy, and then you are trying to get convinced with this context, and then we are slightly getting this meaning of over-ambitious conditions to life and how we recklessly react to certain things beyond cautions or cautionary conditions. This is what we get generally as a universal, away from all the culture part of it which we cannot relate to, basically. Certain things. Now, writers create, I think we have gone through that, and No, we have gone to the next slide. Yeah, please.
It seems like it shows the reference of between the connection between the God and human. நம்ம ஒரு தப்பு பண்ணோம்னா அந்த தப்பை வந்து அனுபவிச்சு தான் ஆகணும். We need to not like நம்ம அதில் எஸ்கேப் ஆகணும்னு நினைக்கக்கூடாது. நினச்சோன்னா இன்னும் நம்மளுக்கு நிறைய தண்டனை கிடைக்கிறத செய்யும். Like that.
That also is good. See, the point here is this is one great example of when we write something, when we convincingly say something through your story, there may be meanings which the universal audience will connect with beyond our imagination as a writer. This is another thing that happens when you write. When you convincingly write, maybe beyond, this is what I mean by the experience that you are giving to an audience in a multifaceted condition or multivarious condition. It is you try to communicate to the audience with a certain perspective. The writer may have some other perspective. We are trying to derive that perspective. The writer may have another perspective. That actually is the great writing part of it, or making that film communicate with more universal audiences. So when I used to write in Guna, when I wrote that film and the film came out, there were meanings, umpteen number of meanings beyond my capacities of thinking while I was writing. There was huge discussions about it. Same is the case with Chanakyan. So at the time of writing, we are actually triggered to create certain emotions. We are triggered to achieve certain results of pointers that we achieve as an emotional output and a moral stimuli. These are the two things that writers will focus initially. And as you do your revisions and rewrites, we get more meanings to scenes and sequences and characters in the world. This is how it works. And these are products which would have been rewritten 100 times. Then you analyze this, then you get the meanings universally and specifically or individually. This is how it works. So you have carried that as a God and man relationship. So this is again something good about that story that we watch. So why do we keep loving the story? I think there was some gentleman who was saying that he doesn't love stories. He doesn't want to keep in line with stories. But generally I think we all love stories. Keep on loving stories, hearing stories. What's the reason for that? Why do you love stories, hearing stories? I hope all of us had our mothers tell you lullabies. Stories of a prince and a princess. And you say, Nipple, then what happened? Then what happened? Then what happened? We ask these questions and the mother will always keep on telling you stories. Even now when she says some other kind of stories, we love to hear from her or from your friends. That's what I was about to ask you. When it comes to you going through the stories or reels of Instagram these days, what makes your tongue stop at some point?
Keep on going.
Keep on going. At some point of time, your thumb will stop and bring it back a little and wanted to hear that story. It's called thumb stopper stories. That's a study by itself. That what makes your thumb stop? Amid this cluster of stories that you have. So, what I'm trying to ask you again and again is we keep on hearing stories. When your friends come from, take your bus from your, or any kind of scooter or vehicles, you come to this college, you keep on conversing with each other, interacting with each other, you tell each other stories. On an average, one person goes through about 1,000 stories a day. But how many of these stories retain with you? How many of these stories you want to remember? Hardly one or two. So what makes you retain these stories? What is it that in that story that you get attracted to and attached to? What is that? So this is what we are trying to discuss here. So the human mindset has this great disadvantage of uncertainty of our lives. Our life is so chaotic that most of the days that we live has this absolute chaos and unpredictability. And stories give you a short-term predictable output and outcome of life. So apart from my own life, I am trying to hear another's life in another context which I foresee can happen to me and learn from it. This is the intrinsic reason or the general reason we keep on loving stories, because of this unpredictability of our own life, the chaos. We need this emotional harmony. That is one thing that we need. In Aristotle said in Poetics about pity and terror. I think you should all read that book called Poetics, which is a very small book which you can download from Google. This is the first book which talks about how to tell a story and what to tell in a story. In those times when he wrote this book, I think there were no prose. It was only poems. So he wanted to tell people how the poem need to be written as a stage play. It is all connected with songs, like Indian context of storytelling. So what I'm trying to say is the pity and terror is why people came in Greek theaters. People came to watch a tragedy. There were only tragedies at those times. There were no comedies. And they all come to this theater. What they see is about the tragedy and they cry. And that's the emotional cleansing that they needed at those times. And after having cleansed those emotions, they go back home a little relieved about their own agonies and their own uncertainties, because they have seen some kind of definition to life for that short period of time. This is what the essence is. We need some kind of an emotional cleansing by getting into a story and learning from it and trying to evolve for better. One reason why you are here, why are you here to this program? You tell me, why are you here? Maybe the sir asked you to come here. Balaji sir asked you, or Chodi asked you to come here. More than all that, there is a reason, or you look forward to be part of this program, to evolve for better, to know more about stories, to know more about making a film, to know more about how to write a screenplay, so that you get a better status quo. This is why we hear stories or see stories. It is not just for the entertainment, which hooks you into keep on loving stories, hearing stories. So we are searching for some kind of a better status quo in life through stories. So that's why stories, the fascination to hear more stories will never wane in life. Yeah, that's over. Now let us look at the process. What we have discussed, this is the process. One, from a blank mind, when you are confused, when your uncertainties are there, when you are overcrowded with what to write, or you want a perfect thing, all those left behind, this is the process. Define a moral statement. Second one, sieve out a theme as the writer's objective. You have to work out a theme. So from the moral statement, work out a theme. Third, select a confident, predominant emotion. I need you to work on this right away, because this is the process I think you will have to go through by writing yourself. Select a confident, predominant emotion, ask yourself, is it going to change my outlook to life? Will this moral statement or the theme that you are creating, is it going to change you? I can guarantee you, if you're so confidently making this work exercise and say, this what I'm going to write is change me, it's going to be a great story. You're not writing it for anyone else. You're writing for yourself as an audience, as a viewer, as a reader. When you write that story, that's going to be a great story. And the final thing is, write from your heart. So, what is writing from the heart? So, you don't have a story. You go through this process of define a moral statement, then sieve out a theme out of it, then select a confident, predominant emotion you can handle now. You can handle now. Let us look at that one of the 6 emotions that we have said about love, fear, sadness, sorrow, surprise, and anger. Then ask, is it going to change my outlook to life? And write from your heart. Writing from the heart is something called the free writing. What is a free writing? You don't think. With this in the back of your mind, you keep on writing, or with an intention, you keep on writing a couple of pages, or 1 page, or 2 pages, with this in your mind. With a moral statement, with a predominant emotion, you just write 2 pages. And that is free writing. Without thinking, you write. And in that process, what you possibly get is you will find your protagonist, and you may find a world of story. These are the 2 things that may come through if you write from the blank mind. This is, excuse me, you're with me or you're talking some of your stories? So, the spontaneous outflow, this is, you should rely on this. When you have this statement and an emotion that you fix and you write without thinking anything, you are actually supported by your subconscious. You're not consciously doing it. Your subconscious mind will work, and subconscious is an accumulation of experience that you already have so far in your life. This is what you mean by the impact of subconscious in this free writing process. So when you write that, write as it flows till it ends. How much you can write, you write and then stop. This is an exercise I want you to do now. Find a moral statement, find an emotion that you are good to work on, make a theme if you can, and then write from the heart. And when it comes to writing from the heart, it's there. That's all. Huh? Okay. So this is what I want you to do. Probably after seeing the movie, you can write this, and probably in the first half an hour of...
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. So after the lunch, I think we'll spend about half an hour before we watch this feature-length film.
We'll close for the section up.
Yeah.
So you all can go for lunch and come by 1:45. 15 minutes so we can...
About 15-20 minutes we'll work on. You can even tell me what your predominant emotion is, what is your moral statement. You can just talk to me. We will make an interactive session.